So if you clicked on this video, I'm guessing it's because you want to make your own prom dress. I'm assuming that all of your prom dress stores or Goodwills where you could get old prom dresses closed right now, or that you just don't want to go out and maybe get sick. So you wanted to make your own prom dress because you're also at home and you haven't been to school in like 3 weeks and you don't know what to do with yourself. Also, since we're talking about the coronavirus, I wanted to let you know that I am fine. As a 100% certified adult, I made sure that I did the most adulty things I could do before this coronavirus hits me. So not only will I be quarantining myself in my own house as a mature, responsible adult who cares about the well-being of not only their self, but other people, I also stocked up on essentials, like food. So I got Oreos. Lots of Oreos. So many Oreos because, well, we need these because, well, they're essentials. And what else am I going to eat when there's no food? Okay, but for real, I did stock up on essentials. And let me show you the number one most important thing that I did get. It's really heavy, but I got rice. Now, does that seem stereotypical? Maybe. And that's okay. Sure, I'll be a stereotype. I got rice. I'm gonna sit out this coronavirus with rice and Oreos. Okay, let's for real make that dress now. Because this is how I roll, and also because you probably can't go out to a fabric shop right now, we are going to use curtains. These curtains came with the house that I currently live in, so I don't want them anyway. And then I found this sheer at a Goodwill like 3 years ago, so we're using that as well. Now, I have never gone to prom before because, well, #homeschooled. And I don't really know what prom dresses are in style. Basically, I could do some research to find out what kind of dresses are in style and then make my sister something stylish to wear to prom. I'm not going to look up any reference pictures or go online. I sketched out my own design and then realized I was dumb because I'm left-handed and you can't see what I'm doing. Next, it was time to chop those curtains right off of that valance thing. So I kind of feel like this would make a really pretty bodice, and it kind of already has the shape and it's already finished, so then I wouldn't have to do a lot of work. But a lot of work is what I decided to do, so I went ahead and I chopped up that first layer on top, which was going to be my lining fabric, and then I chopped up that second layer, which was going to be my outer bodice, and then I went ahead and I took my outer bodice and I put it on top of this sheer fabric, and basically I cut out a third set of bodice pieces. I don't know what I was thinking, but it did turn out in the end, so I guess I was thinking something great. Anyway, went ahead and did that for all of the pieces. Now I want to explain this step to anybody who might be new to sewing. Any girls who are trying to make their prom dress for the first time, or this is your first time using a sewing machine, or even just picking up a thread and needle. You can certainly make this whole dress with a thread and needle. I don't recommend it because it's really time consuming, but if you're quarantined right now, I guess what else do you have other than time? But basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your base fabric and you want the right side showing. This would be our wrong side, the side we don't want people to see. And then we're just going to take our sheer fabric and we're going to overlay it. Just like that. Oops, except I put mine on backwards. Okay, just like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a base stitch all around to make sure that this fabric doesn't shift. So what that would mean is if you have a sewing machine, I don't know how yours is going to look, but you're going to want to move your stitch length to the highest number possible. Mine's a 5. You could also sew big stitches. Basically, they're going to be like 1/4 inch stitches all around instead of nice tight little stitches. What we're doing essentially is putting in like staples, so to say, or just little bits of stitches to keep this from moving. So they don't need to be super small, and we want to be able to take them out later just in case. Alright, so that's what that's going to look like. I went ahead and I put in all of the base stitches on these. You'll kind of see that they're going to curve and pucker a bit. That's just because these long stitches are automatically trying to gather the fabric, so you can just kind of smooth those out and let out the tension. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew each of the lining pieces together and each of my outer bodice pieces together, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Now we have our lining and our outer piece bodice fashion side. I really never know what to call this. I am so sorry. I just need to pick a word and stick with it. But now that we have that, we are going to go ahead and clip the curves. This is going to help the bodice to sit better so it doesn't look kind of funny like that. So what you're going to do is you're just going to clip, 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 clip with your scissors. Could even cut out triangles. It's just going to help the fabric to lay better. And then we're going to go ahead and iron both of these. And yes, I'm still having to be quiet because everyone is still asleep. This bodice needs a little bit more structure than it has. So I didn't iron interfacing or anything onto it, and if you're making this video, you're probably just using things you have around your house or sheets or some cheap fabric anyway, so you're not going to have interfacing or even boning, and boning is quite expensive. So I'm going to be using these cable ties, or basically large size zip ties, and I'm just going to be cutting them to the same size of each of these seams on my bodice. But I'm not going to use fabric scissors. Kind of hard to do it around the bust. But I ironed out the seams on the inside of my lining fabric. This is the one that does not have the sheer over it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make boning channels. So I'm just going to use this ribbon that I got from the dollar store. I believe it's like ribbed ribbon is what it's called. Oh, never mind, that's not what it's called. But it's ribbon. And this ribbon from the Dollar Tree works really, really well. I've used it for other projects because it's like the perfect size for this cable tie. So you're just going to go ahead and put these over the seams of your lining again, and you're just going to sew the very edges of each of these, and you're going to basically make like a little pocket, and then you'll just put the boning through it and sew both edges. Once you've sewn your boning into your lining piece, you can go ahead and take your outer bodice piece and your lining piece, and you can put them right sides together and just pin them in place. Then you'll just sew along that top seam. Both sides are now sewn together, so I just kind of started flipping them inside out. Kind of what it looks like, but not really because it needs to be ironed desperately, so I'm going to iron that real fast. So this is the bodice so far. Kind of looks funny because I'm wearing my dress underneath, but I think it looks pretty good so far. I definitely want to go with a long skirt, but I don't really have enough fabric for that unless I do like an A-line skirt, and I have a feeling that's not really the fashion, so I decided that I'm going to go ahead and kind of go this like short way, and I'm just going to kind of cut the fabric here in half, and then I'm going to gather it along my waist. That way it's like a full skirt, I guess, and it'll just be kind of like finger length. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gather that up and then put this sheer material over it, and then I'll cut this so that it's like floor length. And that is exactly what I did. So I went ahead and I just cut off some of the little bits that make a curtain, I guess. And then I just took my measuring tape and I measured the length I wanted, and I cut the skirt out. It is now the next day, and we are going to finish that prom dress today. Not like there's any reason to finish it today because, well, proms are either postponed or canceled or not happening for a while. Anyway, we are going to finish that dress today just because if I don't finish it today, I'm probably going to hold off on finishing it for a while, and then by the time prom does roll around, my sister won't have a dress, so we're going to do that. And also, look at my sock. It has a hole in it. Now, I have had these socks since 2012, so, you know, it's about time. Here you can kind of see the length of the skirt, so I have a shorter little skirt and then this really long outer skirt. And then I just went ahead and I took that really long outer skirt, or sheer overlay kind of skirt, and I gathered it up, which took a really long time because there was a lot of fabric, but it's an easy fabric to work with, so I can't complain. Once I had both of my skirts that were ready to gather, I just found the middle of my bodice and the middle of both of those skirts. And then I just kind of like lined it up and I gathered them so that they would be the same width as the bodice. It was pretty simple to do. Here I just kind of pinned the skirt to the bodice so that it wouldn't move, but you can do it however you want. When I was all done with that, I went ahead and I took my lining layer and then I took my overlay layer and I just laid the overlay fabric on top of the lining fabric or skirt, and then I just sewed along the top. Once you have your skirt sewn together, you're going to have something that looks like this. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your bodice and you're going to open it up like so, and then you're going to take the outer fabric, the bodice part with the sheer, and you're going to lay that right sides together with the skirt that has the sheer or that overlay fabric. You're going to pin those together, just lining everything up like so, and then you're going to sew. Now you will have something that looks like this. From the other side, it's going to look like this, and then all you're going to have to do is flip the lining this way, fold these right here under all this fabric, and then you're just going to hand stitch all of that in. But before doing all that hard work and hand sewing everything, you want to just kind of cut off some of those old threads and the bulk of the fabric and just make sure everything's really nice and clean looking. Then you're going to pin down and you are going to sew. Then you're going to have something that looks kind of like a big wide blanket. No, but you are going to have a dress that looks kind of like it's been cut down the middle and isn't really a dress. So we need to sew it down the middle so it doesn't look that way anymore. What you can do is you can go ahead and put the right sides together, or you could put your dress like right sides in, I guess, and then you're going to pin the bodice together like this. You don't have to pin the bodice, but it does help things from moving around and it helps to line everything up perfectly. Then you're going to take your sheer material and make sure that your lining skirt isn't in the way, and then you're just going to want to pin this together and sew about 6 inches below the bodice. Then you're going to want to, like I said, sew 6 inches below the bodice. I'm getting ahead of myself. And after you're done with that, you're going to want to make sure the sheer material doesn't get in the way. And you're going to take the lining skirt and you're going to go ahead and line that up and then sew 6 inches. There it is. It's pretty much complete except for the need of a closure. I'm going to use a zipper. So we sewed up our lining to here, and then we sewed up our outer layer to here. This is to give us room for a zipper. So let me grab my zipper real quick. Oh, actually it's right there. That was convenient. So the inside's fully lined. It looks really, really nice. And then we'll just add in this zipper. I'm not going to do a detailed explanation or tutorial on the zipper, but if you have questions, please let me know in the comments. And they're kind of like with the bodice earlier, I didn't show you exactly how I cut out the bodice, but there are tutorials on YouTube that will show you how to cut out a basic bodice if you're unsure. And then there's also tutorials that will give you more details on how to put in a zipper if you are unsure how to do that. If I included every single little detail in this video, it would be forever long. So